all you recovering emo kids. Amanda and Rob here at the Emo Kids Anonymous podcast, and welcome to your Wednesday episode. Today, we are talking about a concept that was talked about a lot when we were younger with a lot of our bands, the concept of selling out. What does that mean? Why is it a bad thing? And does it matter anymore in the year of our Lord 2025? So we're
Shout out
going to
our
dive
Lord.
into all that. Shout out our Lord.
Shout out our Lord.
But we're going to dive into that here in a little bit. But first, Rob, I know you always have something you want to say here at the beginning of the pod.
Yeah, you guys, do us a favor. We do you favors, okay? This is a Friday morning. It's 10 a.m. for me, and we're awake. We're recording this pod for you 5 days in advance, so you would have something on Wednesday. So the least you could do for us is like, subscribe, comment, share, engage on the stuff. Show it to your pals. Show it to people you don't like. Anything would
Yeah,
help a lot. We appreciate you guys. Just hit buttons and stuff, as they say.
exactly. Yeah. So if you can all do that, that's great. Now, before we dive into the
Uh,
episode, let's talk about some news. So by the time this airs, this will be old news, but I still think that it's relevant to talk about. It's the fact that Fred Mescherino he's returning to Taking
returning.
Back Sunday. Yeah. He's
Good.
replacing John Nolan, who is stepping back while they're touring with Coheed and Cambria, which starts August 16th. He'll be filling in for John, who's stepping back to focus on his personal life, which is very interesting because, Rob, you had said he's playing for Say Anything as well right now.
Yeah, he's also the guitarist for Say Anything, so that's a little interesting. Good for Fred, because like actually, a friend of ours actually told me like 4 days ago. They're like, if you want to get Fred on the show, let me know. I could bug him for you. So Fred, we're gonna bug you now. I'm just putting this together now. But Fred has been spending. Fred kind of left the band, I think, under really salty terms as well. Basically, the gist of it at the time is he's like, I just want to play music, and these guys just want to talk about like they just want to talk about like cooking and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like they were like, bro, like we're like chill out, take it easy. Like, like I think maybe he had a level of maturity to him at that age that those guys didn't have. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm guessing maybe the last however many years of doing like YouTube playthroughs and stuff like that has maybe humbled him, given a new perspective. I know, I think like last year he joined them on stage for the first time since he left the band. So like
Yeah.
nice to see. I mean, Taking Back Sunday at this point is like the Grateful Dead or Led Zeppelin or some shit or Leonard Skinner, where it's like there's Adam, and then there's just like six other guys. Like, where's Eddie? Where's Mark? I like the
Yeah.
Fred era of TBS the best. I know people like tell all your friends. We won't be louder now. Pretty dope too. Pretty dope. Pretty dope. I think Fred brought the coolest element to the band. Fred's voice sounds sick. It's a good enough. It's more of a contrast. I feel like, I mean, granted, that being said, all of this we're saying 2020. We're talking 20+ years down the road. Live TBS. None of this shit matters.
No, no.
The contrast and the dynamics I'm describing aren't going to really matter. But
No, the only thing people are watching is Adam
just gonna watch
Lazar to
that
see
dude go
what,
flip that fucking thing.
yeah, to see what crazy shit he does next on stage. As he stumbles across the lyrics. And that is, I guess, the charm of Taking Back Sunday at this point.
I respect it. I respect it.
I mean, you know what you're getting into. So if you're buying the ticket or if you're still like, you know what you're getting into. So don't complain about it. This is what it is.
Yeah.
This is the vibe they're going for. But it is interesting because earlier this year, I forgot when I saw this, I forgot that Mark O'Connell left. He was playing
Yeah.
drums for them and he had left stating that the atmosphere wasn't really conducive to his sobriety and he didn't feel the support from his brothers, in quotation marks. And there were also some creative differences. So, it's interesting that we're seeing all these shakeups, but I think it goes back to what you're saying. This is like a Leonard Skinner. This is like a Van Halen. Like at the end of the day, there's
It's a
like one.
business. Yeah, it was a business. Adam somehow lined it up where like he's the face of this band. Like it's just him.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. Anything was weird to me. And then Mark, it's like that's the whole band is gone really. So it was really just
Hmm.
John, Sean, and Adam. There's no more
Yep.
John. So there's Sean.
Hmm. It's crazy. It is definitely going to be different. If you're going on tour, if you're going to see them on tour with Coheed and Cambria, you will not see John. So there we go. Another news. This also happened last week. Ozzy Osbourne passed away. A legend, a true legend in the music scene.
Yeah. Also a legend in the reality television show scene. I mean,
He was a pioneer.
Ozzy crawled so the Kardashians could run to the bank. Like with no Ozzy, there's none of these other shows. I mean, there eventually probably is, but like that was a good
Jeez.
one. That was a good one. Yeah. Of the celebrities that died the last week, he's the one that could possibly go to heaven. And yeah,
Yeah,
which is saying a lot considering like, like animal cruelty and just the likes of things he's done. But
yes.
like that's the good one. Fun fact
Yeah.
about the other one that I feel like I should bring up, Hulk Hogan.
We talk about Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, rest in peace. Hogan, while he was on trial, so he had a famous trial with Gawker when Gawker leaked his sex tape, the sex tape where he said the N word 50, 60 times about his daughter's boyfriend. And then, on the stand, they're like, you say, Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch hog. And he's like, Hulk Hogan does. I don't. Terry Bollea doesn't. Hulk Hogan does. It's like, what do you mean by? He's like, the character of Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch wiener. I don't. I don't. Different guy, different guys. To this day, I still think about that a lot. I think that's one of the greater interactions in the history of courtrooms in America. People think of like, the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. I think of 10-inch Hogan. I think of the little Terry and the medium-sized Hulk, or the big Hulk and the regular Hulk. I don't know, but yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, gnarly to live that long too. Feel like we just literally just discussed him doing that show too. That's very weird.
We did. I feel like it was just like our last episode we were talking
As I
about
said, that was
his
like a
last
week ago
show
that
and
happened.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, where everyone was singing to him, and yes, thank you to Ozzy Osbourne for creating Crazy Train, the, song with the riff that every guy I've ever dated would try to show me on their acoustic guitar to show me that they knew how to play the guitar. I owe it to you, Ozzy.
wow,
Thank you for
that's a
that.
Black Flag riff. Yeah, I never learned how to play that shit. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember seeing like when I was like 14, like the other kids knew, and I was like, all right, I'm not gonna learn I'm not gonna learn none of the Savage
Yeah.
riffs. I don't know how to do that. Yeah.
Yes. Every boy I've ever dated, that was the first thing they're like, get their guitar out to impress me, and it's like, "Da, da, da." I was like, okay, Crazy Train. So does every other guy. So there we go.
Smooth, yeah, that's smooth move. Yeah, shout out. Yeah, the success rate on that is probably super low, but like quantity wise, like he was the wingman. Yeah, probably for a good, yeah, 2.5 million over the pants. Yeah, tugs. Yeah,
Yeah, for
good. Thank
sure.
you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Ozzy, on behalf of the dirtbag youth,
Yes, the
the
dirtbag you.
burnouts. Yes.
My gosh. Yeah. So any other news to talk about before we dive into today's episode?
Yeah. This morning was really difficult for me, Amanda. We filmed this
Yes,
at
go
10.
ahead.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I just last night all I could think about was like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up early and I'm gonna go get a sausage egg McMuffin down the street. I'm gonna go get
Okay.
2 sausage egg McMuffins. All I could think about last night. I woke up this morning, 8:30. I got plenty of time to go get the sausage egg
Oh,
McMuffin.
yeah.
I didn't get the sausage egg McMuffin. I didn't eat the sausage egg McMuffin. And now that McDonald's breakfast is closed, I'm just gonna have to think about this another day. I could have been eating the McMuffin, but now the McMuffin is eating me. And this is gonna get me all day. I could go for
Oh,
lunch. I enjoy so McDonald's, they have a lot of offerings for lunch. They
they
have they
do.
have
They
they have
do.
so they have nuggets, which is it's like small chicken tenders. They have burgers, cheeseburger, hamburger. They have a fillet of fish, which I haven't had in a long time. They got a lot of things there. French
The snack
fries.
wrap's back. Snack rack is
Yeah, I
back.
heard
Snack
it's
wrap
not the same. I heard it's not the same.
It's not. The chicken's different. The chicken is different because they started with these chicken strips that are new. That's what they started with that you could buy, and then they put those in the snack wrap. So it's the seasoning on the and the way it's
Oh,
fried
is
is
just
different.
not the same. Did you ever have it might have been a Canada thing at the time, but we had McDonald's pizza.
Nope, not here.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like a personal pan pizza, but yeah, like I think the wait
My
was too
gosh.
long, kind of thing. Yeah, it was a whole thing. And I remember the
Well, that
McDonald's
yeah.
pizza being so good, but I know this is my memory playing tricks on me. I'm sure if I had one now, it'd be dog shit. But like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, now that we got
Nostalgia
the all
always
day,
makes things better.
yeah, now that the all day lunch buffet is back at Pizza Hut, I'm thinking I might try to get the pizza at McDonald's brought back. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
This is just something I'm thinking out now. But yeah, rest in peace to the sausage egg McMuffins that I slept through today.
I'm sorry. Maybe you get them tomorrow?
Maybe. That's the fun. Yeah, you just
Maybe.
never know.
Yeah.
You never know what's
You
gonna
never
happen. Yeah, we'll find
know.
out. Hopefully. But yes, anyways. Moving on from
Anyway,
McMuffin talk.
Yes, McMuffins. Now you're making me crave a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit from McDonald's. That's my
Oh, they're
go-to.
great. Ronald does a great breakfast. He's a hell of a
Yeah,
restaurateur. Yeah.
yeah, he is. I mean, I prefer the breakfast, honestly, to the lunch and dinner, but yeah, it's in a pinch, it's all solid.
Yeah, the breakfast just it sounds lovely. I just
All right, so let's talk about selling out. So we figured we talk about today a lot of bands in our scene. There was a they called them like vultures. There was just like a swarm back in the 2000s and even before then of major label execs coming to the shows trying to sign all of these emo pop punk bands because they see the success of people like Blink-182, Green Day, Good Charlotte. You start seeing like even like with new metal with Linkin Park, and you start seeing these major labels start to, swoop in on all of these smaller labels and start to, take some of our bands like My Chemical Romance, like Fall Out Boy, Jimmy Eat World. They had with Capitol Records, man,
yeah,
their
they
whole
got done. They
story.
got yeah, they ran through the yeah through the ringer a little
They
bit.
got right to the Ricker. Yeah. And of course, when that happens, lo and behold, your old fans start to call you a sellout. So what does that even mean? So, I was thinking about what it means. Like they're saying you're compromising your artistic integrity for money. And it usually comes with a change of sound, trying to appeal to the masses and things like that. And then your old fans or your OG fans get mad at you. And this is not new. It's been around for a while, right? I mean, in the 90s, 80s, I mean, it's
It's
always been
it's
a
weird.
thing.
It's weird because like you think about okay, like punk rock thing, not to sell out. Who are like the original like top level punk rock bands? In America it's the Ramones, and in the UK it's the Clash. Both of those bands are on major labels.
They
Like
are.
they're all on major labels throughout the 80s and 90s. Every single punk band, the Bad Religion, the Rancid, the whatever, all of them have a major label record with the exception of No Effects. Like they all go to major label. It's a thing, like you said, throughout the 90s, same thing, like Green Day, not allowed to play at Gilman Street, like they're on Reprise Records, whatever, like these. It was always this thing, but it's like in hindsight, a lot of it is crowded in the bucket bitch mentality kind of thing, you know?
It's true. Yeah, it is because it's like I understand when people talk about selling out, the idea of rock and roll, the idea of punk is going against like corporate America, going against mainstream, right? That's really what that music's all about, or at least originally. So then to go and start working with major corporations, because usually with major corporations come endorsements, right? And that means your songs are being played not only on the radio, but maybe being played in stores or being played over a commercial or being played, at the Super Bowl or something crazy like that. And then you're also like doing sponsored ads in your videos. I will remember very distinctly. I'm pretty sure Fall Out Boy had several sponsored ads for some cell phones in
Be
their
slipping stuff
videos.
in hard in those 2000 in those
they,
videos, bro. They be
they
slipping. They
freaking
be
had,
just. That's how you pay for
yes,
it. That's how you pay for it. Like not in
that's how you pay
music,
for it.
non-music related. But like, do you remember when they first brought back Jurassic Park, like the first Jurassic World in like 2015?
I do
Like if you go
remember
back
with
and
Chris
watch it, it's
Columbus.
so unbearable because the whole movie is just like Mercedes, Samsung. The
Yes.
entire movie, every time a car comes up, it's like this perfect shot of the Mercedes, like the off, like we're off road and this and that. It's just like the new
Yeah.
GLX. Like it just like it's like, but you got to pay for the fucking shit somehow.
No,
The
that's how the
commercial
Marvel
thing,
movies were in the early days. They
yeah,
all
yeah,
like all
right.
the cars like Stark and stuff drove. Yeah.
I had to pay for that stuff, but like appearing in commercial things like that, that used to be like signed to a major label is one thing, but like appearing in like a commercial and stuff like that seemed like such another layer of selling out at one point, and it's so not
Yes.
now that it feels comical to kind of think about it. But even as of like 20 years ago, major bit like I can think of the transplants of like the
Yeah.
Garnier Fructis commercial kind of thing, and it's just like. Oh, that's okay, but this isn't. Whereas, like now, you look the last 15 years, like I swear, every single car commercial I see is just like the Ramones.
Oh yeah. How many times have they used someone like that in these car commercials in these day and age? It's interesting the idea of selling out because, a lot of people some people go into making music for the message, to do something that they love, but obviously if they want to keep doing it, they have to get paid somehow. And in order to do so, you do need like more backing because you can only sell so much merch. You can only sell so many tickets to under like small shows. At some
You guys have
point
seen,
to
yeah,
reach
you
that
guys have
next
seen Shark
level.
Tank. You got to scale up. Someone's got to come along and invest, and they got to take a cut. This is just like Shark Tank, but the cut is a lot bigger, and all the money they give you, they're getting back.
Exactly. And now, is that a good thing for the bands? Not necessarily. We mentioned Jimmy Eat World, and when they first got signed to Capitol Records, um, they Capitol Records had no idea what to do with a band like them because obviously the emo revival wasn't quite there yet. And then when Clarity came out, they just kept it in the dark
That's right.
almost.
Like just so I remember is like so they sign to Capital and they do Clarity on Capital, and then they
Yes,
get dropped and then picked up by DreamWorks, right? Because is it DreamWorks
correct.
that puts out? Yeah, DreamWorks because DreamWorks had them. DreamWorks had
Bleed
right
America.
and DreamWorks also had like AFI and shit at the time. So DreamWorks was popping off
Yeah,
early 2000s.
exactly. Yes. Yeah. And they had a lot of the songs like that would go on to be in like Bleed American already kind of, starting in the process when they dropped them from Capitol Records. So they kind of got shafted, and it's the record label didn't know what to do with them. And I think they were thinking that it would be like another like Green Day situation, or they could do something like that, but it just wasn't going to pan out in the same way. But I remember the stories like when Green Day, you know, switched over, or even like with Blink, like the backlash they got.
Yeah.
Green Day, remember if I'm wrong, they couldn't like go to like the old venue they used to play at.
So yeah,
Am I remembering that correctly?
they were banned from Gilman Street. They're banned from 924 Gilman.
Yes.
I'm not even sure if that was signing with the label. That might have been right before that as well. But yeah, that was very much the thing. Was like it was like yeah, no Green Day because it was this major selling out thing, which is weird because at the time at the time early '90s in California in NorCal they had Fat Wreck and they had like Lookout Records still, and then in Southern California we had Epitaph. Like these aren't major labels, but it's like still getting some good money pumped into them. Like these aren't like mom and pop garage operations. Like they're
No.
still putting out large records, but just I think with like if you're in a band, like while I was doing my 30 minutes of research, like I noticed like a lot of bands. I just think about like there's a like. I understand it weighing on you as an artist, like
Mhm.
this battle of if I do this or that. If you're too adamant about this stuff, and especially as a fan, if you're too adamant about it, you're being a clown, I think. Like, there's this great quote from Chad Kroger of Nickelback, of all people, where
Well,
he's basically like, I don't buy the Kurt Cobain thing. The Kurt Cobain, like, oh, I didn't want to be famous. My life is so hard. It's like, you don't buy a guitar and write songs on the guitar and record yourself playing songs on the guitar and then go book a show and drive to go play those songs. You don't do all those things without the intent of being successful to some degree. So
hope
like when
so.
people
Yeah.
fans are like, like we're just this, it's like I don't fucking buy it. You did this for a
No.
reason. You're lying to yourself because you don't want to put yourself out there or you think it's uncool. But it's like at the end of the day, if you play a guitar and you're at a band practice, you probably like at some point you close your eyes, you imagine like an arena or a stadium full of people, not just like 12 people.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people
You
yeah.
wanna be Green Day, you wanna be MCR, you wanna be selling out arenas.
Yeah.
That's your I
You'd
imagine that's yeah.
want your art to reach the most possible people on the best, on the most positive way to look at that.
And maybe do it full time and not have that part-time job
Yes.
anymore, working
Yes.
at, Pizza Hut or,
Yeah.
working at a corporate job. You wanna be playing shows, and
Exactly.
I
It's
think
not just about
everyone
like
wants
I want
that
to
if
be
they're gonna pick up
rich.
that guitar.
Yeah, they're not just like I want to be super rich. They're just like I want the whole experience. I want to travel the road and play this and that. It's like that comes from playing the game and being successful in
Yes.
the industry and the industry getting into it. Nobody starts playing music and is like, oh, I was always under the impression the music industry is really fair. Like if you're like 13 years old, you've probably already heard horror stories and the like. If you're like slightly tuned in some regard, like you
Yeah.
know what's coming. With Green Day, though, I think also Green Day was just, if you see early clips of Green Day, it's just also, I imagine, like some slight jealousy thing where it's like, I'm not as big a Green Day fan as I am with other people, but you watch Green Day and there's like a militant perfectionism to their music. Billy Joe is a guy like from the beginning, you can tell like this guy is a rock star. And I can
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
it kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, especially in a scene where they feel like this is as big as most of us are going to get. Who the fuck are these guys? They're going against our ideals, you know? Because again, like
Yes,
at
exactly.
this point, none of this is real. Like all these punk bands you like, they all signed to major labels, you know, get over yourselves. But
Yeah.
oh.
And it's something that you have to deal with. And I know a lot of people, the big complaint they have is that when someone sells out or signs to a record label, their sound changes. And let's talk about that
I
because
was gonna say, when did that
it's
happen?
interesting to me when people are like, oh, they're changing their sound. But in my mind, don't you want your artist to grow and change? I don't want to hear the same sound from like the same band put out the same exact sound with every record, the same type of songs. I don't need 20 of those. I don't need like 30, 40 of those songs. I want them to evolve and change because music's evolving and changing. My tastes are evolving and changing. And so I think, some people I'm gonna talk about Fall Out Boy because 'cause they're the easiest ones for me to bring up, but obviously their sound evolved and changed, and people can blame them going to, like, Island Records, but at the end of the day,
They're on Island Records
I
in like
mean, they were gonna
2004.
do it
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they already had it they
Every one
had
of
already
those
morphed
bands.
from a hardcore band to pop punk, like, they
Thursday was
already
on Island.
morphed.
Was Thursday not on Island
Yeah,
Records? Yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
at that point, and you hear this common theme with every story you hear about bands jumping to make, especially bands from our world, where it's like you need to find that specific A&R guy. You need to find those guys at that label where it's
Mhm.
like they're not going to make us sacrifice everything like that. Like nobody is willfully just changing up their sound because the label says so. This isn't like straight pop music. Most of these bands are going into it with that ideal. That being said, maybe they get higher level producers. Their mindset changes as they grow. They want to, like you said, artists change. You want to make bigger, better records. Like that is a natural progression. If it's a situation where the band is like very clearly changing their shit up to try to follow trends, it's a different story. But I think that happens a lot less often than people say it does. Like you talk about Fall Out Boy,
I
like,
think so
okay,
too.
Fall Out Boy's a major band right away. Like they get signed after their first album, like they're massive and they just kind of
Yeah.
seem to shift with the
Yeah.
waves.
Yeah.
Like even when they come back, it's like they didn't come back. Like at no point is like save rock and roll or something like, oh, we better do this. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
seems to be their effort of staying modern or this or that. Like I don't imagine it's the suits in Island Records being like, hey, Fallout Boys, like we need another sugar. Why don't you give us
Yeah.
like Walk the Moon is really popular right now. Why don't you give us a little Walk the Moon? Give us a little bit of that, Milky
Thank
Chance.
God I didn't get walked the
Yeah. No, like, yeah, no, I don't think that's happening that often. I mean, I think bands in our world where the sound is drastically changed, like not technically our world, but like 5 Seconds of Summer. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think of them like
Yeah,
where their first two albums are very pop punky and then they become very like,
just pop.
yeah, yeah, just
Just
generic
pop.
bland pop.
Like,
But
yes,
that is
yes,
so rare. Like all these, okay, like Rise Against is another band with this.
yes.
And Rise Against jumps to a major label with Siren Songs and Counterculture, jumps to DreamWorks, and Siren Song to me is their best record. The label didn't make them change. Yeah, like I've been on this show before and have called like recent Rise Against singles the worst shit I've ever heard. Like the label didn't do that. Rise
Yes.
Against did that. Rise Against did that on their own. Like
Mhm.
I'm not blaming whoever they're fucking signed to now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's not from our world, but a good example, I think of Black Eyed Peas. When they were a small, like, hip
Like a
hop
little hip
group,
hop collective. Like yeah.
yeah, yeah, they were their sound vastly different than all of a sudden My Humps. Like, it is, like, not the
Oh my
same, like,
god.
those 2 things are not the same thing.
Why do you think
And
they
now
sat in
that
that
could be an
writer's
example
section? In that writer's room
to
when they're
make
just
the My
cooking up
Hump.
this line, they're just like, no, no, like they're just like, okay, like, yeah, let's get it started as good, but like what else could we put there? And then everyone in the room heard what they put there instead, and they were like, yeah, that's good, do it. I'm guessing they didn't do it in one take. They got in the booth and individually recorded this line in like probably 20 takes, and they're all just like, yeah, that's good, run with
Yes.
it, cut it up, let's go. That's a hit.
Just
That's
do
a
My
hit.
Humps.
How
Yeah.
did this?
I
How
mean,
did this ever
yeah,
play?
I would love to be in the recording studio as all of that is going down for that song, because that they might be an example of when you
That's a great
get the
example right
money.
there. They changed it up. They changed it up. Will.i.am chased that fucking
Yes,
bag. Will.i.am
he
seemed to
chased the
make a
bag. He saw EDM. He saw
conscious
what was
effort.
popular.
Yeah, like 'cause
Yes,
even I'd say yeah, like they're because like it's so funny. Our friend Ricky, we both discovered Black Eyed Peas the same way. So fun
we
fact,
did.
Mountain Dew is my Fall Out Boy, and my
It
first time I
is.
ever got a
It
Mountain
is.
Dew was because the X Games were in San Diego, and they were sponsors, and like there was like a Hummer there with Mountain Dew, and they gave me Mountain Dews and like this sampler CD, and it had like Limp Bizkit and like Unwritten Law on it, and Black Eyed Peas, and they were like this cool, like like conscious, like it was like backpack rap stuff. And then Where Is the Love came out, and just like I saw this
With
great tweet
Justin
the other day though.
Timberlake.
That was like people killing, people dying, Peter, Lois, Meg, and Brian. And I just I think it's just like I love it. I loved it very much. I don't know. Great. So also while we're on the topic of Black Eyed Peas too, let me just say I think I've said it before, but I got a feeling. Great song. Great song.
No, I mean,
One of the best lines in recorded music. Same thing. How did they fucking think to
one of the
write that
best.
down? And Fergie just like right there, I'm just gonna fucking hit him with the mazel top. And then they're like, and then like Apple the app or whatever the other guy's name is like, hey Fergie, right there when we do the mazel tov, you should hit him with like a Laheim. And she's like Laheim, and he's like, no, more like Laheim. And then she's like, okay, I'll go do that. And then she went and did that in the booth. The same thing. Probably did like a couple takes of it, and then was like, yeah, this is good. We'll stick with this. I don't know.
This is rolling, and this is
I
gonna
don't
make us a
know.
lot of money, and it did, and
And
it
it
did.
did. It
Yeah,
did. It did. Like it can't even
it
talk
made them
shit.
a
It
lot of
did.
money. I mean, it's been what featured in like it's been featured in commercials. It's
Great.
played at
Yeah.
every club. It's like it's everywhere. Or
It
at
is a
least
happy song
it
that does
was
make me
for a
feel
good
good.
while.
Maroon 5 too.
It
Would
makes
we
me
say
feel
Maroon
good
5?
too.
Maroon 5 did the same thing, right? Let's
Yeah, I remember seeing them when I saw them live when their first album
you
was
saw them on
out.
the Jane tour?
Yeah, the Jane Tour. They came to
Yeah.
Leah Center, which was our basketball arena for Temple University where I went to school. And so I got to see them there and guitars, the whole nine yards, which is a far cry from where we see them by 2013, where it's pretty much just Adam Levine and he's doing whatever the popular music is of 2013, 2014. Now, granted, some of those songs were bangers for me, but definitely a very different pop
The best of
oriented
those
direction.
songs.
No one's playing guitars in those things.
No, James Valentine, I'm sorry. Sugar is a bop, written by Mike Posner. Sugar's a bop.
Yep.
I like Adam Levine more when I saw those texts, those DMs of his leak, and I just realized this dude had like no game. And you're just like,
Game.
damn, like you kind of feel bad for this guy for a bit. 'Cause like before that, you're like gorgeous guy, like model
Yeah.
wife, fucking, abs you could fucking iron a shirt
Yeah.
on. Then you fucking see those DMs, you're like, shit, bro, like you're fucking whack. Like one of
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Even the most
Fuck, I
good
don't
looking
know.
guys don't always have the best game. It's just
Yeah.
it's just
Sorry, Adam.
nature. Some people are born with it. It's what
Yeah.
it is.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah. But no, Maroon 5 is another great example of sometimes where you get to that major label in order to stay relevant, they change their sound to fit with whatever the mainstream is happening, what's going on with the masses, right? I think we could safely say that's an example of when that does happen. They're not really in our scene.
Yeah,
They're
that's
just
the thing
like
is like we
a
accept that they're already a
yeah,
pop act. They were an
like
LA group, the Karis
they were
Flowers. They were
yeah,
chasing they were trying to be a radio rock band.
yeah,
They adapted to
and
the
they
radio.
definitely succeeded. Yeah, they definitely exceeded in that. But let's talk about like now because we don't hear it often talked about now about bands selling out or this concept at all. I mean, we talk about it almost in a historical sense now than we talk about it in this day and age. Now people will still historically say this person sold out and I will never listen to any of their records past their
Yeah.
first one. That came out in 2003 or 1999,
But
whatever the
across
case
the
may
board,
be. But like,
socially, we're not saying it the same
yeah,
way. I think that
no.
there's no
But
there's
why do
no
you
more
think that
selling
is?
out. There's no more
Yeah.
selling out to do. I think in the 90s and the 2000s, there was some world where these bands could avoid selling out and they could make a healthy living. Whereas nowadays, like,
Mhm.
there is no world of selling out. If a band wants to fucking survive, they're not making money off those record sales or those tours anymore in the same way. You need to get that sponsorship. You need to get that kind of you need to get that deal lined up kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not the same world it was in the 90s where records are selling, bands and artists have to make money somehow. Yeah, socially, like in our scene, I growing up like on punk rock, it was like very anti-commercialism, this and that. And I think a lot of that just dropped by the wayside in some regards. And also some of it is just like a lot of that was like idealistic bullshit. If you want to fucking beat the game,
Yeah.
you need to beat the game from like the inside of it. You know, you can like the game, people cheat in the game. There's ways to
Yeah.
skirt the rules in the game, and you can either play that game and follow those rules and cheat like they do, or you can sit there with your arms crossed and complain that the game isn't fair. And many will
Yeah.
do that
Agreed.
one, but if your band wants to survive or you want to survive, you have to do the former. And I think for most bands in our age, that's how it is. Plus, I mean, if you think the last like 25 years, like generally generationally things go where it's like, okay, one generation, this is selling out, this is selling out. This is like I talked about when I talked with Scott on on the Robcast, where it's like, yeah, that was a way for these bands. But I imagine like once you hit like 2000 or so, all these bands we like, they all went to a major in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like okay,
Well,
for
yeah, they
like the hot
eventually,
topic
yeah.
explosion, there's skate punk explosion of the 90s, Green Day, Offspring, all these bands, it leads to Blink, like those bands run major labels and MTV as well. Like, you know, if you're coming up, if you're a young band in Long Island, like a Mike Cam or a Thursday, like, yes, you have these ideals of like, this is what we're supposed to do, like, because we grew up on it. But you also have your peers around you are signing to these labels, and you're saying, well, they took care of X, Y, they took care of our friends here, they took care of this band that we look up to. All of a sudden, these dated concepts kind of fell by the wayside. I mean, obviously, you know, these major labels are still awful to, you know, their artists, as are most employers. That's just kind of how things are, you know what I mean?
Oh
But
gosh, you don't gotta tell me.
right, but like I think it stopped mattering. What about you?
No, I think it did. I think almost because I wouldn't say that streaming made major labels a little less relevant, but at the same time, it kind of did because now, you know, being on a major label doesn't necessarily guarantee you money, right? So now it's all about your social media presence. It's all about the virality of your song. I mean,
Yes.
your song can go viral if you're Charlie XCX or if you're some, random, indie band out of Florida. Like it just depends on what kind of grab you get in the algorithm and if it gets traction or not. And I think that in this day and age, with the idea of selling out, major labels like they almost they still have some influence and I think they are still very influential in helping people get a leg up,
Yeah,
but
and
people
support and the
recognize
like
that at this point
tour
it's
support.
not like, yeah, they do the tour support, but at the same time there's I think there's definitely, and I can't speak for people who are currently on major labels, but I would like to say that there's a level playing field now because even the major labels are feeling the sting of what the streaming services have
Yes.
done to the financial economy of music in general.
And just what I mean, it's a record industry. Records don't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's a niche product. They're not even really
Yeah,
selling a product anymore. They're helping distribute your music onto platforms. They're helping distribute your music and get it onto playlists and the like, which is like if you're in a small to
it's
mid-sized
weird.
band, you can do those things yourself. You can hire a PR firm to help you. You can hire a team that helps you get on those playlists and the likes. You don't necessarily need that support. Where it really kicks in is like more mainstream stuff and the like, where it's like, oh, you're gonna get slipped into that radio station. You're gonna get put on that radio festival, things like that. Where like in other genres, I think it's a lot easier across the board. Where like you can have like a pop song or a hip hop song like kind of pop off and then pick up traction easily. I think in our world, no matter what, there is always going to be a level of, at
Give
least
you
there
a little bit
should be
extra
like
help.
a level of like DIY. you need to like prove yourself to some degree. Like as a rapper, and I mean, this isn't even a dig, this is like a fact. Like so many rappers can blow up and then you go see them perform at like a Rolling Loud or some festival, and it's like they're dog shit. They've never performed before. And we think of like the rare
Yeah,
time
because
that's
they just
happened in our world, like Panic. Like Panic gets signed out of nowhere. They barely know their songs. They go on a tour and it's like a well documented disaster. You know what I mean? Whereas like that's half
yeah.
of hip hop up there, you know? Country, they
Oh,
can
yeah.
perform, they can play their ass off. It's the same kind of thing. Like you can kind of pop off out of nowhere. Whereas in our world, I think to some degree, like, yeah, there's a Linda Linda's or a Paradox where you can go viral online, but like if you can't fucking
All of a
bring
sudden
it,
you're playing.
yeah, you're not gonna last it because you're gonna be put in front of a crowd. If you can't play your songs properly and engage with the crowd, like you're not gonna win.
And that actually makes me think of another point. The concept of an industry plan. That is a new like, that is a concept I've heard a lot over the last few years, and I think that in some way maybe can be related to the idea of selling out too. But let's talk about that concept of the industry plan. Like, in your perspective, what does that mean to be an industry plan?
I think it's something dumb people say when someone gets big that they haven't really heard of. The way things are so divided now, like there could be like there's still people in
Yeah.
this world that haven't heard like more than two Taylor, like they couldn't like they've heard them in the world obviously if they've been outside, but they couldn't tell you Taylor Swift songs. Like the number one
Yeah.
artist, you know, like it's some guy I remember seeing it and being like, who the fuck is this? I've never heard of this guy. And it's like, okay, industry plant is like a very easy way to say like the world revolves around me and I've never heard of this artist before, so therefore like make this make sense kind of thing. Like I don't think it's usually said in good faith, but I mean just
No.
that general idea of a label propping up an artist out of nowhere. I don't,
I feel like
same thing
that's
though.
the
I
new
don't think it's
selling
super
out.
possible. Yeah, that's what they say now.
No,
That's
I
the
don't
new
think it's possible.
accusation.
Yeah, that's the new accusation. So now we're not worried about selling out. A band that's been doing it for a while, doing their DIY shows, and then all of a sudden a major label comes crawling, like Sony. Hey, let's do this together. That is no longer a big issue. But now this idea, if you all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere and you're getting all of this attention, now it's like, oh, well, the record labels purposely got this person, put them out there, flushed all this money, and no one's ever seen them perform. No one's ever seen them X, Y, and Z. So clearly they're an industry plant, right? So I think that's the new
Yeah.
negative
It's the
term that we're
it's the
using
new
instead
it's
of
the new
selling out
negative
these
term
days.
for dumb people to say to sound smart.
Which is insane because, yeah,
Like, can you think of one person who would realistically possibly be an industry plant? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it's possible in that. It's the same. Like, it's easier for people to think that something is explainable with some sort of conspiracy than it is to just say like, I don't understand this. And you can apply that to really extreme things like conspiracy theories and people not understanding vaccines or whatever like that, to like shadow government bullshit, or you can just apply it to like, I don't know who this artist is. I'm a 30 something year old adult. I don't understand this thing that's not targeted to my demographic. Like, there must be some bullshit going on here. They're propped up kind of thing. It's like, that's not, you know, like, there's artists where they'll be getting a lot of support, like for like Doechii. Like Doechii got a lot, like getting a lot of support, you know what I mean? Like getting a lot of support even over on like TikTok. You know, I've seen like a couple like things pop up where it's like, oh, if you use the Doechii sound, the top ones, they make like a couple thousand, this or that. It's like, that's not an industry plan. That's labels promoting. That's what you're signed to a label for. The label is spending money to get
yeah,
your art out there. Then let me like then Ronald is an industry plant because they put up all these billboards for him. You know what I mean? Like you know
yeah.
McDonald, not Rathke. Like where it's like it's just it's
Could
a
you
way to
imagine
like,
though?
right, yeah. It's it's like it's just a way, it's just a way for people to like explain things away in their head, I think.
Yes. And I feel like that's the same concept of selling out. It's a way for someone to feel justified in the way they're feeling about a band because all of a sudden the band may not be as accessible as they once were. They don't feel like they're on the same level as them anymore because now they're at this new level and they can justify it by saying, oh, they're sellouts. And I feel
Crabs
like
in a
that's the same
bucket.
thing with the industry plant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Crabs
the
in a
same.
bucket. Exactly. Yeah.
It's the same thing, and you see it anytime a band goes off quickly. But it's like that's the way virality and like viral shit works, where like something's gonna pop off you haven't heard of.
Yes.
doesn't mean it's an industry plant. Like it's very difficult to industry plant your way to something or to like you've seen ads on your Twitter pop up. You've seen like if you're watching YouTube, an ad for like a whole music video will pop up sometime. It's like you can't pay people to
Yep.
like something. You really can't. You can try, you can pay to put it in
You
front of
can't.
people, but for them to actually like it and to want to engage with it, that comes down to the people. Like that's still like a democratized part of music.
And I think the best example is Jennifer Lopez trying and just failing spectacularly with her return to music. I mean, she tried that whole visual and obviously she's part of a major label. She came out with this whole visual concept. If she
When was the new
can't get
Jennifer
viral
Lopez
and
album?
can't make
I didn't even know
it
about the
was
new Jennifer
it was
Lopez
came
album.
out with beginning of I think it was last year when she was still married to Ben Affleck, and then they divorced later. But then she had the
Not
tour
bad.
that was announced and then quietly canceled because they couldn't get enough seats sold.
No.
And it's like, if you can't even do that with like the major labels in this day and age, if she's not going viral, it doesn't know. We don't know what goes viral anymore. It doesn't
No.
even like if a
No.
big name like that can go viral, what can? Like you don't know. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. But yeah, we can't say the industry can push something forward because if they can't even push J-Lo back into the mix, I don't know what they could do.
There's, I mean, yeah, there's tons of pop artists that happens all the time. Like, I mean, there's just there's ways of things, and at the end of the day, labels or every business can kind of prop things up. One of the reasons, one of the many great things about this once great nation of America is that the power is in the hands of the people in some regard. And it's like if you want to consume that art, you can. If you don't want to, you're not going to kind of thing. I mean, you see like a Katy Perry or someone like that, these artists
Exactly.
that were major artists that had the world in their hand, and they come back and people just kind of decide at some point for whatever reasons, they're like, we don't fuck with this anymore. And they don't fuck with it anymore. They're just
Yeah,
like, we're
we
not
don't
going to
want it.
buy this.
We're
We're not
done.
going to, we're not going to consume this content or whatever, like they're over it quick. And the idea of like the idea of anything being other than like it's a general thing, right? I think a lot of the times the bands that get really big, there's a reason they're really big. You know what I mean? Imagine Dragon, the Imagine Dragons, they pop up out of nowhere. They, like
They did.
they're very big for many, many years. That's not an industry plant. That's very accessible radio music for children. And the label's job is to
Yeah, and it
sell
helped that
their
they ended up on yeah, and they ended up on the soundtrack for or in a commercial for something
very
early on
early.
with Radioactive, and that really just
There's the one before
I
that,
re
the do do
think
do
it's a
do
video
do
game,
do
actually.
that one, the like the
That song, yes. That was in commercials a lot.
right, like that was like yeah,
I
that was
had
that
a
was early.
something.
Yeah,
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 that
like
song.
they did commercial, like they popped off. Yeah, like they was in commercial and stuff, and then like Radioactive and the Thunder Lightning and the
It's good. I
the
fell for it.
Suicide Squad song, Sucker for Pain with like Little Wayne and stuff
Yes.
like that. Like, yeah, it gets rough, but it's like
Yep.
we live in a world where like I mean for 15 years there every movie was just a superhero movie. Like we had to, like things are gonna be made. It's like this is what people are buying. That's what's gonna be sold. If you don't like it, like that's tough.
Yes.
Go find. There's so many other things out there. Just go find something else, bro.
Yeah, and right now in this day and age, there's so much music out there, whether or not it's part of a major label or DIY. There's just and it's so accessible now, which I think is why the concept doesn't matter as much anymore. But yes, the idea of the industry plant, I think, is what people gravitate towards because they can't fathom the understanding that something just comes out of nowhere and gets popular. It's like, no, that's how our world works now.
How things work. It's how things work.
We
Yes,
had,
and
yeah,
I'm
yes,
curious to
we
see
had
how it's
virality
gonna
before, but
play
not
out.
quite like. But
Curious to see how it's gonna play out with like for even like bands we have on this show where there's like a divide where there's a good handful of them that are very DIY. They're grinding, they're touring, and then there's other ones where it's very like marketing, social media based, and it's like you need one to have you need them both, yeah, but, like, at the end of the day, like, when you're in
you
a
do,
rock band, things come down like this is a touring business still in many regards where it's like you need to be playing shows, like, you need to be doing so, like, at some day, your shit might
that's
go
how you're gonna make your
viral,
money these
for a minute,
days.
but the thing will separate you from being like a Hawk Tuah and being like a, like a band that has some credibility is like you're gonna have to be able to perform. You have to actually be able to bring it. And if you can't bring it, you're going to end up being a viral thing.
Yes, and that will may not really get the attention of a major label at the end of the day. Because I still think they're looking for the way that everyone's making money, major labels and the bands, etc., is touring, is merchandise. That's how they're making their money now. So they need a band that they see can actually perform and bring it when they're on stage. So I think that's everyone's kind of in the same boat there. Everyone needs that because streaming is not going to give anyone money.
No,
Like,
not at
not
all. Not at
anymore.
all. Let's
And neither
talk
are the
about
vinyls that I'm buying.
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, Smart Punk's getting that money. The manufacturers get that money.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a
Exactly.
very big sellout band, quote unquote sellout band of the 21st century, which is also covered in our book here, Sellout, which I know we have both read by Dan Ozzie. One of a band that I think is the best punk band of the last 20 years, a band that is, there's a slight controversy around because of the front person, but Against Me, Against Me is covered in the book, and Against Me in the
Yeah,
2000s was
against me.
very much seen as like that. They were the sellout band of my childhood, where it was like
They were.
they come out, they release this record, reinventing Axl Rose, which is basically just some acoustic guitar banging on buckets and stuff like that. And gradually they get bigger and bigger. First they signed to Fat Wreck, and that was a big deal. They get shit over that. And then they go sign to Sire Records, and they get shit over that. And there's
Was.
a lot of ways the band handled it poorly in regards to just kind of like some rock star shit at the time. We can probably attribute some of that to some transgender dysphoria going on that might make someone act a certain way. But yeah, they'd have bricks thrown at
Yes.
their bus. They'd have their
It
tires
makes sense
slashed. They'd
too.
have their bus painted. They'd have like people to not let them fucking leave town. Like they would be fucked with by the worst of the punk kids of of Florida and the like. And I
Yes,
think
exactly.
that's really like the
I
last
mean,
major instance of
they
that
got
being a
the
thing.
yeah, I mean, that was a big deal for them too. I mean, I can't say any I'm trying to remember any of the bands, like, after that in our
I can't
genre,
think of
in
anyone else
our
getting that
third wave emo
sellout
got
knock
as
really, yeah.
no, well, Fall Out Boy did make a video, "Take Over the Breaks Over," and in it, they have, like, fans who come up to them and say, like, "Pete Wentz sucks. I'm for old Fall Out Boy." Like, I think but for them, it's different, right? So, like, Against Me, it's, like, all physical, right? Being attacked by bricks and this and that. But then we transition to by the time third wave emo's hitting, now we have the beginnings of social media. So we have it on LiveJournal, we have it on MySpace. That's where the fight's happening. That's where the bands are getting taken down instead of a physical, like, you're not playing at Gilman Street anymore, Green Day,
Yeah.
you posers. No, now it's, I'm going to type 100,000 words and tell you how much of a sellout you
Ye
are, Pete Wentz, because you are a sellout. Like, that's where it's coming from. It just looks different, but it was there, I think, still for the bands that were in our scene at the time we
which
were
might be more effective
prominently
in a way.
teenagers.
I don't know. Which of those do you think is, like, more effective in terms of actually turning public opinion against you? I think it might be the online smear campaign. Like,
I think
mob
online
mentality is
is
pretty sick. Like, yeah, if you're in that for that moment, those fucking dirtbags probably feel really cool doing that, but, like, band gets their
throwing
tour
bricks.
bus
Yeah.
windows slashed and the windows knocked out, like, doesn't really play well on the headlines. Like, that's not gonna do you the same favors, whereas if there's 1,000 kids just kind of whisper campaigning, talking about how you guys suck and sold out, like, that might influence people's minds a little more.
Yes, I would believe so. I believe that governments have tried that tactic for many, many
Yeah, I was gonna
hundreds of
say,
years
yeah,
and been
we've had
successful.
back to Facebook and Russia and stuff like that, yeah, these things happen. But it is more effective, but even then,
Yes.
I think too with, like, a lot of, like, the, like, third wave stuff, like, it's so much of it was already rooted in, like, best case scenario, it's rooted in skate culture in terms of how it ties into punk rock, and, like, a lot of the bands grew up on, like, hardcore ethos type stuff, like, you talk about a Thursday, My Chem, like, they come from this world, but by this point,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, by this point, like, the major labels are so ingrained in things, it's just like I don't think it's the same kind of there's not the same kind of fear from it. There's kind of like almost if anything like a fans realizing they have to do certain things to hit certain points. So these are just like it's a logical step they have to make. Like, okay, we did this. Now it's time to go make the major label record. Like they knew there was fear around it. Like, oh geez, are we going to get
Yes.
shelved? Are we going to fall through the cracks? But like fans realize, like, for example, like My Chem, it's like they hit a limit there where the label could only get so much stuff out, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like they could only keep up so much with printing the records and like as if a band is actually blowing up, like you need it's like a business, any business, you need to scale it up at some point if your shit's popping off.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the best example of, doing what you need to do, and I always go back to Cartel and the band in the bubble on MTV. Like, I always think about that. Like, very, that was commercialism at its finest, I would say.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, but, like, you had to especially at those
Yes,
points, you had to play that game, like, I mean, like, we're talking about all these bands, people call them Warped Tour bands. What is the Warped Tour? The Warped Tour is the Vans Warped Tour. It has major, major sponsor, like, sponsorships on it, like, that's how our world works, that's how
it does
these
now too.
yes, that's how these businesses
Yeah,
stay afloat, and that's kind of just, the unfortunate reality of the world is marketing and advertising and the like, and yeah, like for like and against me, it's one thing because they come from a much more direct punk background, but still same thing. It's like, okay, these bands,
yes.
they look up to the Clash and the like these other these bands all signed to major labels as well. They all have their record on Warner Brothers or Sire or Univer whatever it is. Like they all do it at some point. It's like part of the deal. Like I was like Alkaline Trio is my favorite band. Alkaline Trio, very big punk band in our world. They do well, kind of slight fuse band, maybe a little MTV appearances are there. 2008, they release their only major label album, and like early that year, like they show up on an episode of The Hills, where like like they're just there because one of the girls interns at the label, and it's like, oh, here's a great chance to get our new band. And it's like I remember the fans being like, it doesn't fit on The Hill, this or that, and it's like, bro, there's let's say there's 3 million people watching this show. If like 20,000 of them are kind of like, hey, that band is cool. Let me Shazam it or whatever the fucking thing is you did in 2008. Like, let me go check out this band. I mean, it said their name right on the thing. It was like a little mini ad, like Alkaline Trio in vain. Like, maybe people go
Yeah,
check it out. That's the label's job is to get it in front of people. And if like you're too concerned about like who else is a fan of the band you like if you're too concerned about the rest of the fan base and stuff like that, I think that's a you problem.
yeah,
Like I mentioned Ronald. I love Ronald McDonald, not Rathke. Like great product. Everyone likes McDonald's though. If you go meet 30 people that are dicks that like McDonald's, you're just like, oh, the McDonald's fan base is terrible. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like those people. And that's what a lot of it was when in our and I don't know I wonder if it is the same, like we'll see in a few years when our kids get older, where it's like there would be bands would be like, oh, well, like the preppy kids like that band, so you can't like that one. They're not cool because like these people like them. And it's like I've never personally prescribed to that because I'm such like a little pop slut, but like that was a very common thing. I'm sure there's people that'd be like, oh, like girls like Amanda like this band. I can't like
yeah.
this band. I'm cool. You know what I mean? Like that's not cool. And it's like, brother, what is cool? Like everyone likes the
Yes.
fucking Beatles. Everyone likes Nirvana. Like everyone likes Blink. Get over it. Like these
Yeah,
are
exactly.
weird hills to die on. And it's rooted in like an insecurity, even like things like, like I've done posts on the TikTok application where it's like, bands that should have been bigger. And people be like, this band was big enough. Like any bigger, like I wouldn't have been able to afford their tickets or something like that. I'm like, you're right. Like, how dare these other people make money?
Yeah, how dare they make money to afford to keep doing what they do? I mean, I would assume like if you love the band and you care about the band, you want them to grow their audience. You want them to grow. Yes, does it benefit you financially? Well, not in 2025, but nothing. It doesn't matter who you're seeing. Ticketmaster is going to extort you
They're
for
going to
all
gouge
they've
you.
got. So at this point, it doesn't matter. Like they
Even then,
already
like,
got you. It doesn't matter until we all just boycott Ticketmaster. It's
yeah,
never going to happen.
we've tried it. Yeah, Eddie Vedder tried it. Nothing happened. They made Coachella out of it, but like nothing else happened. Like, if you like, for example, like Rise Against. Rise Against is I read the chapter just about Rise Against. It's like they got $500,000 when they went and signed with DreamWorks. $500,000 divided amongst, I believe, four of them. Add in recording budget, add in equipment. That's their money to live off of for the next X amount of years until they start generating revenue or tour money or things like that. And that's all money they're going to pay back. That band, let's break it down. Let's say they're making roughly they're all getting like 60 to $100,000 or so to live off of for, let's even just say 2 years, kind of thing, as revenue, as sales, as ticket money starts to trickle in. Like it's not, and add in the fact that that money also includes like, yeah, the tour, the support of like, oh, we're booking this tour, we need to get around, we're making this record, we need to hire this producer. Like the money very quickly disappears. These bands that you're thinking, like, unless with the exception of like the Machine Gun Kelseys, the Blink 182s, the Fall Out Boys, like with the exception of like the very, very high level of these bands, even the ones on the major labels are not making money like that that people are thinking they're making. Like they're getting loaned money to go make records. They're not living, they're not living crazy. They're not able
And they
to.
have to pay that back if they don't.
Yes.
Yeah, and they have to pay that back if they don't meet it. I remember an interview with Patrick Stump saying, like, the money they got from the major label, he put it away. Like, he didn't go and spend it, like, buy a brand new, like, Hummer for like anything like that, because he's like, this could all not work out. And then all of a sudden we have to pay the label back. And, you know, luckily he had an accountant for a mom. So she was like, listen to me. But at the end of the day, we don't realize that that's the case for a lot of these bands that, yeah, they signed to them and you're getting mad because they're sellouts, but that didn't necessarily mean that they were going to be successful. And why would you wish their downfall just because they tried this avenue? Doesn't
Of
make
course.
sense to me.
And as a smaller band on a smaller label, a lot of the times you're just barely breaking even on those tours. So like it's not fiscally responsible. Like one of my favorite bands is the Matches, and at one point the Matches lose their bass player because he's
Yes.
basically like he's like, I'm touring, we're doing all this, then I'm coming. He's like, I'm getting close to 30. All my friends have families and apartments and things like that. It's like I'm sleeping on floors. At some point, if you want your favorite band to keep playing music, like they're gonna have to sign to a bigger label or really scale things up to keep it going. Because like in your late teens, early 20s, the grimy part of the lifestyle might be appealing, but at some point you're growing up and you're like, oh shit, like I want to be able to like survive and like afford something besides like, Velveeta mac and cheese or the cheese based noodles or like something like that, where it's like I want to be able to live my
Loaf of
life
bread.
comfortably. Yeah, exactly. And it's difficult. It's difficult, I imagine, for bands if you're like the more punk you are to deal with that internally. But I think history has shown us that for the most part, the devil on your shoulder telling you to sign with the major label usually wins. Even if it's like a one album, two album thing, you can go there and you can come back to this
Yeah.
world. I think it is always like worth that shot where it's like, okay, we're gonna sign, we're gonna go do this. Maybe we pop off, maybe we see a spike, and then we can come back here. We can come back home to these indie labels.
Yeah. I mean, even Fall Out Boy did that in 2023, returning to Fuel by Ramen, even though Fuel by Ramen is not necessarily like as small as it once was. Yeah, when their contract was up, Johnny Minardi's like took Pete out to lunch and was like, "Hey, come back home where
Home,
you
brother.
started, where you belong. Come home." And of course, they now have enough money, like individually, with their own ventures, they could do that. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of people go that route. They can still go back. Yeah,
Shout out Johnny Minardi.
but selling out. Shout out Johnny Minardi.
Shout out Johnny Minardi.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was such a yeah, shout out Johnny Minardi. At the end of the day, it was such a big deal to be a sellout. It was something that was frowned upon. And even like as a fan, you felt guilty for liking something that people considered a sellout. But I think now that we're older and we have more retrospective, looking at the rearview mirror, we're seeing it wasn't, it didn't, people will grow and change regardless whether or not they had a major label on their back. And the only thing is they got more money to get better production value, right? And
Yeah, they hired a
increase their
better
fan base.
producer. I'm sorry.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah, they
that
hired a better
that's all
producer.
we can ask for these people. Yeah. So that's all that matters. Anything else you want to add, Rob?
I think people like to do Dunning-Kruger stuff with their brains, where like the less they understand something, the more they think they understand it and the like. Music business stuff has been something that is like kind of accessible because like artists have spoken about it. So people think of like these clips of like Lisa Left Eye saying something, or they think of like images of rock stars being rock stars, and they paint this image in their head of like the music industry works and the like. And at the end of the day, it's not that much different than every other industry where there's bosses just trying to fucking gouge you, and the employees, like, it's like these people want to get their art out there. They want you to hear their music. That's why they're writing songs. And it's easier to fuck up the establishment from the inside and to work with it and to combust it internally than it is to stand outside of it and try to like knock it over. You know what I mean? So like There's been a few exceptions of bands that have
Mhm.
avoided this and have done well. No Effects is one where they didn't sign to a major, this and that, but it's like Fat Mike of
Yes.
No Effects also just sold the entire his record label catalog to Fat, or he sold Fat Wreck to Hopeless, like he took that payday too. So he took the long run, but he eventually sold out too. Eventually,
Yeah.
if you're going in the first place, you're booking a show at a venue and that venue is taking money in the first place, like you've already sold out, brother. Just go all the way. I don't know,
Yeah.
stop being weird
Go as
about it.
far as you can get.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But yeah, so selling out, chilling out. But all right. Well, before we go, just a reminder to everyone that if you get a chance, like and subscribe to all of our
Please
social
do.
media channels at Emo Kids Anonymous,
You do.
except for Facebook, 'cause we don't do Facebook. So yeah.
We just hit 1,000 followers on the TikTok. We just hit 100 subscribers on the YouTube, couple hundred on the Instagram. Just trying to pile them up. If you guys would be cool, go follow us on all those things. The show is very new, but we are
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for watching and listening, and have a great day.